Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Trans Culture Club. We're here, we're queer, let's get it in gear. I don't remember Brooke's intro, and that's my intro. That's the one we're going with this week. Brooke Senpai, along with Ferris Senpai, are off studying for final exams, or I guess college entrance exams is actually the subject of the day for them. So it's just the three of us here today in the club. We've got myself, Lachlan, still, Zaria.
Hi.
And Jackie.
Hello, hello.
And let's go straight into the first item on the agenda for today's club meeting. A little update to a story from last week's episode. XQC, the Dallas Fuel player, has ended up leaving the Overwatch League. Essentially, he felt like he wasn't getting utilized as effectively as possible in the league. He wasn't getting as much playing time as he would have liked, and so he felt, it was sort of a waste of his time to be on this pro team and not be playing when he could be investing that time that he's practicing and sitting on the bench into his personal Twitch stream as well, which is relatively popular given how excitable a personality he is, but also, of course, the issues his behavior was causing within the league, and the amount of admonishment and reprimand he had to face for that meant it was just not an environment for him. And it's interesting to see sort of the culture that Blizzard is trying to build with Overwatch and the Overwatch League, and the fact that some people just sort of aren't compatible with that. They're not, friendly enough. They're a bit too problematic, whatever it may be. And so they just kind of don't have a place in the Overwatch League. Yeah, I know no one else cares about Overwatch League, and neither of the other present members really care that much about esports generally either. So we'll leave that news update be and move into our first broader discussion of the day, which is the number of PVs for new anime series that have dropped over the last week or two here.
They will
it's
never
been a lot,
end.
especially considering that Anime Japan starts in a few days here.
By the time this recording goes out, Anime Japan would have already happened.
Yeah, when this comes out, it will be just the middle of Anime Japan, which is normally when we get a bunch of announcements. So it seems like some people are attempting to preempt that
we'll probably have
with their PV releases. The first and perhaps most exciting of which is Sada-zanmai, the new project from Kunihiko Ikuhara, coming in 2019.
Okay, so now it's my turn.
We have maybe the biggest Kunihiko Ikuhara fan on any Twitter. One of them certainly is Zaria here, along with perhaps his most vocal detractor, Jackie.
Whatever, we'll get into this.
Okay. Mistress of the man himself, what can we glean from this PV?
Okay. There's a lot, I think, that we can get out of this PV. So first, I think it's very obvious, to me at least, based on what he's been talking about lately, and based on the symbolism in the PV, that this is going to be perhaps Kunihiko Ikuhara's first primarily male-focused show. Maybe not I don't know if it's aimed specifically at men or not, but focused on men. Because there's first of all, we need to look into the fact that the graphic designer for this show is the same graphic designer who designed most of the stuff in Penguin Drum. And if you look at Penguin Drum, it uses a lot of these, I don't know what to call them, these people symbols, the kind that you'd see on a bathroom door or something. And in Penguin Drum, you see them for both genders. You see, there's a differentiation between male and female people symbols.
The classic
traditional,
little,
skirt,
rounded stick man, and then one with a dress for women.
Yeah, you don't see that in this one. You only see the male figures. And it's very you also hear the voice, the narrator for it is, I think it's Suabe, or Sawabe, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. but it's a very deep voice, and it's all about desire and like connecting stuff.
And
now,
also
first of all,
two
if
of the
anyone's
stick
ever...
figures 69 in one of the trailers.
Yes.
So there's
That
that.
is the detail
is-
you decided to pick out.
It's an important detail,
It's
Jack.
important.
If you look
It's
into the
important
symbology of the...
Look, okay, so here's the thing. First of all, the themes it talks about here are themes in every one of his works, because I think in Ikuhara's works, you can typically say each work focuses on the same themes, but like emphasize a different one. All of them talk about adolescence, but Utena focuses on adolescence. All of them talk about fate, but Penguin Drum focuses on fate. All of them talk about love, but Yurikuma focuses on love. And now all of them talk about desire, but this one is focusing on desire. And I think that I have very strong reason to believe, based on much of what he said in recent interviews, some of his plans, some things on Twitter, and the trailers themselves, that this is going to be focused on BL, much in the same way that Yurikuma Arashi was focused on Yuri. As someone who doesn't know that much about BL, I don't know what to expect necessarily, but I'm also like more hyped for this than I am for anything else, except the potential for a Shirobako season 2.
Yeah.
That's way more hyped. That's even more hyped to me. If
I
that
didn't know anything
happens,
could be more hyped to you
will...
than Ikuhara, to be honest.
Shirobako is my second favorite anime.
Fair.
And specifically, the interviews area referenced was a 2017 interview that just got recently translated, and it mentions the 2020 Olympics. It just like mentions like a bunch of big subjects.
Yeah, there's some
that are
other
on his
stuff that I
mind.
think. Yeah, I think the 2020 Olympics are going to get addressed. In fact, I think it'd be absurd to think they wouldn't be. He's always trying to stay up to date and talk about like current problems. Penguin Drum very specifically addresses things that people. He actually talked in the interview about how people were like, "Are you sure you can do that?" And are you sure you can talk about the Shinrikyo attacks only 16 years afterwards? And he did anyways. And and I find that that's something I really love about his works, is his willingness to engage with these kind of subjects. So I wouldn't be surprised if he talks about a lot of the alienation in Japan, and he uses the 2020 Olympics as like a means to look at that.
What do you think of the 69ing stickmen, Jackie?
Well, what could you say? Don't do this. I literally have nothing to say because
Okay, I have something to say about
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously it literally just does represent the 69, but I think it also has like a deeper meaning. And I'm only guessing here. It's hard to say for sure when the show is not yet out, but I think it wouldn't be absurd to guess that it represents the okay. First of all, we need to be clear here. It's not just 69. On one of them, like the head of one of them looks damaged, like it got shot or something. Like there's like a splotch.
this is one rough
like,
69.
Very dark color splotch. Yeah, and I think it represents the damage. I'm guessing here, but based on like the words that are used.
What are the silhouettes for the Smash trailers area? Who's gonna be in the game?
Ikuhara's gonna be a smash. You heard it here first.
Is Ikuhara gonna be in Smash?
I think it represents the damage that even reciprocal relationships can do when they're founded on power structures which are inherently damaging. When you look at Yurikuma Arashi, for instance, all the characters in the school are gay. Okay, literally all of them. And in fact, most of them. But the thing is, they also though perpetuate the very harmful dynamics of the school that leads to their literal deaths. And I think it's trying to say that even the oppressed can perpetuate their own oppression. And I think that might be something here, because if you're part of the structures that's causing damage to you, then even like a mutual reciprocal relationship can be distorted into something harmful. And I think ultimately, I'm just guessing here. This is massive speculation. I think ultimately its conclusion is going to be that desire is good, but we have to change the society in which desire gets twisted into something very harmful. And that's basically my analysis of the three
Hell
status
yeah.
on my trailers.
That's
though.
cool.
Okay, all I got from the trade is that there's going to be otters in there somewhere, so
Hello, my god, we almost missed the otters.
How could you
area.
forget the
How could you miss
otters?
The otters.
They might be otters. They might be weasels. I don't know. The thing is, every Ikuhara show has some kind of animal sidekick. So, or no, okay, that's not even really true. Yuri Komodachi did not have an animal
Lots
sidekick,
of-
but
Did
did
have
have
lots of
bears,
bears.
yeah,
so
it's
it's
like
fine.
sort of fill that.
I mean, I don't know if anything can be like the penguins
Mm-hmm.
level. I love the penguins. They're good. They're good children.
Indeed.
But,
Lost in thought about my good penguin boys and girls.
No, about
Oh,
you.
We decided not
God.
to do this.
We were gonna hide the gay power level.
But yeah. Anyways, we should probably move on to the next PB.
Moving on to the next PV, the next project from another acclaimed anime director, Shinichiro Watanabe, with his show Carole and Tuesday, which fittingly for the subject
looks
of
gay.
gay looks pretty good. It looks good to not say it looks good.
Unfortunately, like I'm not familiar with him,
Can't
so
do
I
that
can't like
in-depth
analyze a
analysis.
ton just from like, and also the
It's just,
PV
isn't
didn't
it
really
just
say
like
anything.
character art from what I remember of it?
Mm-hmm.
It's lovely.
It's
art.
good character art though.
Very nice, like traditional European femme, and then this overalls mask. Big fan. The sort of point of interest with that show is the international voice casting.
Oh, yes.
It's open to anyone,
Yeah.
and they just want like someone who can sing. I mean, Shinichiro Watanabe has always been one of the more internationally focused anime directors. Sayo Yamamoto worked with him earlier in her career and sort of follows from that school of...
Yeah, watching that show did like
incorporating.
remind me of Michiko and Hatchin, just from the character designs and stuff.
I would not be surprised at all if she came by to like storyboard or direct some
Yeah.
episodes. Although she might be too busy with
depending
her
on
own
how
projects.
busy she is with Yuri on Ice
She's,
stuff,
she's-
like that movie is gonna happen
Yeah,
at some
Yuri
point.
on Ice.
Eventually.
So not too much else to say about Carole and Tuesday, other than it looks promising. Boogiepop, another PV that dropped. I think there's a bit more to say
yeah.
on.
This was interesting.
So it's, yeah.
Okay, how many people here have seen Boogiepop the anime?
I saw the original Boogiepop anime, and I've read the first 3 or 4 Boogiepop novels.
Ooh, I
so I'm
haven't
relatively
read that.
well versed in the franchise.
I think
yeah.
I might have seen
I
Yokin
haven't-
once or twice.
Yeah, I'm roughly the same.
Is this your Carole and Tuesday
Good OP.
audition?
I did go listen to the OST after Lachlan told me it was good, and it was good.
Yes. Yeah. very
But
good
yeah,
OST.
no, it looks very interesting. First of all, it's directed by Shingo Natsume, which this is last year he did Akka. Before that, he obviously did One Punch Man season 1.
And Space Dandy.
And
He was
Space Dandy.
the
Yeah,
director.
He was
where
the like
Shinichiro Watanabe
actual
was the
director.
chief director.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, he was definitely the actual director of that. So it definitely looks good. I'm excited to see his talents. He's a very good director, and Akka was like a very like even as not amazingly produced show, it had a very strong sense of style to it. And I this is rude to some people, but I'm more excited to see him do a project like this than I am to see him on One Punch Man season 2.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'd give up One Punch Man season 2's direction by Natsume to get a Boogiepop adaptation from him. Hell yeah.
Yeah, like I've never actually read Boogiepop or watched it, but I know first of all, like I know it's like basically started the light novel boom. As
Yeah.
in like Haruhi started the light novel adaptation boom, but Boogiepop started the light novel boom. And
Writing boom.
Yeah, there's like 20
And-
of those light novels out there. It's crazy.
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
It had a big impact. It just was felt to be something that really represented a lot of the sort of anxieties and isolation of adolescence. So like parents were a big
yeah.
fan because they felt like it was good for their kids to be reading and also like help them understand in turn.
And given that the
yeah.
Japanese economy has not improved in the last 20 years, I'm sure it's just as apt now.
Relatable.
Communism now.
Yeah.
So onto more specifics of this adaptation, though. It's going to be handled by Studio Bones.
Madhouse.
Oh, Madhouse, yeah, sorry. Bones did Space Dandy. Madhouse is where both Aka and One Punch Man got produced.
Yes.
And Shingo Natsume's probably greatest asset is the just number of talented people in the industry he's connected to.
Definitely.
And,
by
can
far.
often bring into his projects. Aka didn't really demonstrate that as much, but from the PV
One Punch
here,
Man did.
there was a lot of action on display, and so presumably we'll be getting Natsume's Book of Friends making an appearance here.
Honestly, the bit about
Thanks,
the bit about Boogiepop I'm most excited about is Kensuke Ushio's doing the music.
That yes.
Kensuke Ushio with his experimental electric sounds is perfect for the OST on
frankly
Boogiepop.
speaking, Ale Yuki is a very good voice actor.
Yes.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see if they go with a more action-heavy route for Boogiepop, the original anime adaptation. Did this sort of moody, atmospheric, at times horror.
I've heard it compared to like Technoeyes, the Boogiepop Phantom anime.
Similar atmospherically in places, for sure.
Though less nihilistic.
It was, I think it's less nihilistic. It wasn't actually an adaptation of any of the novels. It sort of like took place in between them and told its own original narrative, I believe. But the scenes that like would have been action scenes in the novel, in terms of their writing they're like traditional action sequences, just like a fight scene in text form. But in the anime they were handled more as these horror scenes, and not like a satisfying fight scene. So we'll be getting that side of the novels sort of shown in this anime. And then the last exciting thing here is the fact that we'll be getting re-releases of these novels because an anime adaptation from the director of One Punch Man is coming out now. They've been out of print
Wasn't
for a
this already
while.
announced that some novels were coming out in...
They announced like the first 3 were getting re-released in ebook form.
Digitally, yeah.
But then... which I'm guessing 7C's already knew about
when
this.
PV dropped, they said the first 6 volumes, I think, are getting physical releases. And that includes previously untranslated novels, because only like the first 3 or 4, I think, ended up getting translated and brought over when that first happened. And then, success of these novels pending, we could get the rest of the series translated. And with Natsume directing, we have a decent chance of the series being successful enough in the West that we get that translation. So
better hope it's
extremely
on
exciting.
Crunchyroll so people watch it.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested in this new adaptation because it sounds really interesting. I've just never got round to it myself. But
yeah,
I'll probably go back and check out the old one beforehand. But
well, you will.
I don't know. Yeah,
because we've got the old Project Determined Viewing Subway.
Subway.
Not a Subway.
Yo, if they want to sponsor us,
sandwich
then
right now.
Feel free to hit us up.
Yeah, we can talk about this. So basically, I'll leave the discussion. Basically, I've been realizing lately that the anime I watch are almost entirely dictated by what projects I'm going to be doing. And this is in contrast to Jackie, who, for them, it is not like that at all. And I think it's actually a really interesting thing to talk about, how that affects your enjoyment of anime, how you feel about that. So I think I'll start by okay, so the initial reason is I have so many absurdly ambitious project ideas that I cannot possibly have time to talk about or to watch shows that are not related to them other than seasonal anime. And it creates some interesting effects. First of all, it means I have to watch shows I don't actually seriously want to watch. I just had to watch Strawberry Panic and Kanazuki no Miko. Neither of those are good shows, but I had to watch them because they're old Yuri anime, and I have to write a video on that. And it's kind of interesting because right now I don't have a ton of freedom. It's just I have some level of freedom because I get to choose which projects I take up. But if I have to watch something in the next month so that I can get a video out on such and such thing, then I have to watch that show in the next month. I don't get to go off and be like, oh, I want to watch some random 90s OVA.
When discussing anime becomes your job, ironically enough, you get a lot less time to go watch anime in like a more casual, just like personal fan
I just
sense.
Don't have that time ever.
Because all your anime watching time becomes work time.
Yeah, and there are downsides to that. There's, like, sometimes I do wish I could just go and watch all these shows I've had on my backlog for a while that I really want to catch up to, or that I want to, like, watch, but I just don't have time. I just can't justify it, and that sucks at times. But there's also upsides, which is, I actually think it prevents burnout.
What?
Basically, I often get burnt out when I actually have, like, total freedom, because I'll kind of, my taste will drift towards watching too many of like a certain kind of show, and if I watch too many of that kind of show in a row and I start to get disappointed, it can just like burn me out on anime as a whole. Whereas if I'm being directed by projects, I don't really get burnt out because I'm not really watching the show to enjoy the show. I'm watching the show, like, if I enjoy the show, that's great, but I'm watching the show to gain information by watching it, and I can't burn out on gaining information because to me, anime and like otaku culture in general is like this giant painting that's like, or this giant like jigsaw puzzle, I guess is the best way of putting it. And the sizes of the pieces differ. You know, if I watch like, what's a classic I haven't seen yet? If I go watch Ideon, that's a big piece of the puzzle. That's a really large one. Whereas if I go watch, I don't know, some like random 70s super robot show that no one remembers, that didn't influence anything, that's a small piece, but no matter what, I am adding to the thing. And if I watch too many of the same show, sure, then like a certain area might get really clear, but like I'll burn out because, oh wow, I saw this area, but like I get bored of looking at that area of the puzzle. Whereas if I'm doing if I'm forced to watch different stuff by projects, I get to see a much larger, more zoomed out picture. So I get to keep adding in a way that keeps my brain switching between different kinds of things. So I don't really burn out because I tend to burn out when like I'm doing too much of the same thing at once, and because to me I'm not doing too much of the same thing at once because I'm watching so many different kinds of things at once. I never really burn out, and it honestly I feel like makes it easier to keep watching anime in a way.
Yeah, since I've started making videos, the rate at which I watch anime, the amount of anime I'm watching has gone up by like a considerable amount, and
yeah, that's gone up.
Very rarely do I stop watching anime, and if I do, it's for a relatively short period of time because I can't actually stop consuming content, because consuming anime is how I get ideas, and my job is to present interesting information and ideas to an audience.
Yeah, I mean, I used to actually burn out fairly frequently whenever I started watching too many of a certain kind of show, and I would just, and then if even like one of them disappoints me, I'm just like, I don't feel like watching anime. That just doesn't happen anymore. And I think there's definitely upsides to it. Like I said, there are downsides. There are stuff I want to watch that I just can't justify for like years. Like that I just will not be able to watch in the next few years. And that really sucks at times. But, part of that's just that my plan to watch list is so big that it's going to happen no matter what. I have 594 shows on my plan to watch. Over 100 are like more than a year long.
Just ignore that my plan to watch.
It isn't that it prevents you from getting to things on your plan to watch, because your plan to watch prevents you from getting to things on your plan to watch. It's more so that it takes away somewhat the freedom to just go, oh, I'm going to watch this show on a whim. Because sometimes that show like doesn't fit into anything you'd really be covering in the near future, and thus you can't justify like going and watching 40 episodes of Rose of Versailles because it's like, really cool.
Well, I was able to justify that, but
you've got a project on it, so that's a specific one.
But I can't just go watch Doremi. I want to go watch Doremi.
Yeah. I
really want to, but I cannot justify it in the near future. Once I get started on my Sato and Igarashi projects, I can do it. But like, eventually, one day, I'll be able to justify it as a project. But I can't just go watch it for fun. Even though I know I'd like it, I just can't do it. And that sucks. But like, on the other hand, I'd rather I feel like the trade-off is worth it because A, I like making anime YouTube videos, and B, the not burning out actually probably does mean, like, long term I will actually be able to get to stuff faster. It just, in the short term, sometimes it's like the lack of freedom sometimes does feel a little stifling, but I think ultimately I'm happy with it. It's hard to say.
We've dominated though, Jackie. You can now add your perspective on that.
Right, so this is odd because I do like anime content myself, but I'm just like an occasional anime blogger when I'm just on a whim basically. So of course there's a lot less I need to invest into anime like you two do in some regards. But I don't know, I guess if I love all the things you talk about, like anime culture, otaku culture, like exploring it's really interesting to me, but I'm not the person to do that because I'm very like, because I know I'll just get burnt out. Excuse me. I'll get burnt out on projects so quickly that it wouldn't be like feasible for me. And I guess another thing is that, like with all media, I guess I value my own like personal reaction and enjoyment over anything else. And I feel like if I was doing projects like that, that would just be like something I would ignore entirely, and I really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I cried like 30 times watching Penguin Drum for a project.
I cried of boredom watching Penguin Drum.
Oh no! As an anime YouTuber, you do like sort of end up or at least, you know, for me, it creates a commodification of my anime viewing experience. I have to like create a set of content out of those experiences for a wider audience, and they can't just be for me. I guess another worry is that I'd be worried about if I genuinely feel some way about it, or I'm just like, I don't know how to explain. It's like artificially trying to think of things to say about things other than my feeling. It's definitely a concern. Like how much of your thoughts on it is you sort of trying to fit things into an idea you had, and then sort of have your perception of the show be this convenient way for expressing it in a snappy idea, as opposed to sort of taking in the full context. It's something you sort of have to learn and work through, I think.
And also, I think, I guess, as opposed to you, Jackie, I feel like I am a person who just likes digging into, like, anime as, like, this broader cultural entity and, like, revealing parts of it.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Like, I gain a lot of pleasure from personally, like, being the one to do that. Like, I really enjoy the fact that, like, I'm going to have the most comprehensive thing on Ikuhara ever published in the English language, assuming no one ever writes a book on him. But, like...
Well, I'm here to announce today that...
You could go pre-order my book.
My book.
Ikuhara is an okay man, but I'm not a fan.
It's an analysis about his storyboards on Die Buster episode 2.
They're really good storyboards.
Sacred storyboards.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's my general perspective. I just like doing research and just like, if I can gamify my anime watching in a certain way, and it kind of is a form of gamification, that makes it easier for me. That's probably why I, like, keep my Mals so up to date, even though, like, I don't care about bragging with Mal. I just need the gamification.
Yeah. Gamification of, like, anime watching, like, how prevalent it is, kind of weird.
Just you need to make anime an RPG. Anime watching.
I mean, I can't disagree that it's weird. It does make it easier for me to get through stuff.
I like seeing numbers go up.
Yeah.
Hey, that's why you two do the YouTube thing, and not me.
I like seeing those Patreon numbers go up. Patreon.com/The Pedantic Romantic.
Go patron my wife.
Go patron my wife.
Yeah.
Moving on swiftly. There is one PV we skipped over just because we had a nice segue, which was pointless anyway, because we ruined the nice smooth segue by flubbing it. But not a PV, just a website teasing more details at Anime Japan. The next Studio 3 Hertz original They were the studio behind Princess Principal, Flip Flappers, etc.
Sora no
Black
method.
Fox. We don't talk about that.
I think it's gay.
Yeah, no, that's
Dimension
true.
W is the one we don't talk about.
I forgot they even did that.
Sora no Method. What about Sora no Method? Do we talk about that one?
I mean, we could.
Yeah.
I did the video on the studios. There,
It's gay. No, I know about it. I watched the first episode back when it aired. Yeah.
But on the subject of Black Fox, it is of particular interest to us, at least, just because of how blatantly they've stolen Persona 5's aesthetic.
It's so weird.
This
web
it.
page is like shockingly just Persona 5 and all its text and
the way the typeface is Persona 5.
There is no
the
way is around it. It's just straight up.
Colors are Persona 5. It's literally straight up Persona 5. They didn't make any attempt to hide it.
all the black and white like backgrounds of the text and like the text boxes and everything, like to the point where, in spite of it being announced as an original project from them, I almost have to believe it's some kind of original project, but a Persona 5 universe.
It's weird.
It's almost
just because they're gonna get sued. I don't see how they're not gonna get sued if this isn't tied in with them officially.
Yeah, like it's absolutely absurd, and it's particularly absurd because Persona 5 is like well known for its style. Like that's one of the like well known parts of Persona 5. It's one of the most like the biggest appealing points.
It's iconic, really.
By this
Yeah,
point.
and to just steal it is bizarre.
Isn't stealing the
importantly,
Persona 5 aesthetic just in the spirit of Persona 5 anyway?
Yeah.
Fuck copyright law. Reject the system.
But I think that's more interesting is so 3 Hertz.
This guy looks like Shadow the Hedgehog.
That is interesting, yes, sweetie.
They're doing a video. They're going to do an anime adaptation of the Shadow the Hedgehog video game.
Persona 5 Shadow the Hedgehog crossover. It's what you've all been waiting for.
What was I saying? Oh, yes. 3 Hertz is currently... next season, they're going to release the Gun Gale Online alternative anime. And that's cool. Okay, sure. I'm somewhat excited to see it. And then they're going to release this.
Right.
Which maybe in 2017,
either going to be
maybe
late
2018,
Yeah.
early 2019.
Yeah. But what about Princess Principal Season 2? Because the thing is, Princess Principal sold well. It has an event coming up. There's no reason not to make it. It left open so much room for
Like,
Season 2.
it just ends.
at
It's
the
like
end of
my
the season.
only complaint with the show, that it just, like, ends.
I mean, okay, I don't think it's as big a problem as some people do, because the
I think
emotional...
the whole arc, the whole
gay
arc,
climax ended.
the whole arc ends, but
but-
like structurally, it just goes. The arc ends. There's like, even just like a couple of minutes afterwards would have made the ending feel like a lot smoother.
Okay, I mean,
I
that
think
makes...
in general, I'm more content with Okoichi endings than a lot of the general anime public.
I mean, Okoichi didn't get to write the ending. He didn't get to write
for
the ending.
Princess
For
Principal?
Princess Principal, he was not allowed to write the ending.
That's good.
They were like, no, you're not writing this ending, and he didn't write the ending. So that's why neither of them died, because he didn't get to write the ending.
I mean, no one died in a... Well, I guess someone died in
okay.
Cabaneri.
I'm just happy. Okay, look, I was satisfied because Princess and Anje, they got to be good and gay. Like, they got to...
They're like one of my favorite like
They,
lesbian relationships to come out in like any anime in recent years.
I had like 20 last year that I loved, but like they were near the top. They were near
Well,
the top.
you're the expert here.
Yeah, that's true. They they call each other their turtle doves, like come on. So I was satisfied, but I would like another season, and I hope that this Black Fox project doesn't spell doom for
same.
that, because I mean, 3 Hertz so far, they've made 2 excellent anime, and 2, anime.
Jerry's obviously talking about Sora no Method and Dimension W as her favorites here.
Yeah, they were excellent, and that's why I dropped it. But Flip Flappers and Princess Principal are two of my... They both were in my top 10 for their respective years. It's not that I don't have faith that they... Like, I'm very happy that they keep getting to do original projects. Check out my wife's video on it.
Yeah, a new source of exciting original anime. Basically, the studio founder has a quote of him saying that their goal is to create original anime.
Mm-hmm. And, Gun Gale might not be that, but, they need to get work.
Some adaptation work. Gotta get that SAO money. Everyone's cashing in.
No comment.
Yeah. But I do really want Princess Principal Season 2, and I hope that this Black Fox thing is at the latest, maybe like winter 2019, so that by the end of 2019 we can get a second season.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
That's basically my.
We'll have to see how many figures they sold.
Have they not seen my
Yeah.
wardrobe full of Princess Principal figures?
Whoa!
It is actually funny because they said the figure thing after they already said, "Oh, if they sell enough Blu-rays." So they're just kind of like memeing. Like it's like the most obvious way of saying there's going to be a season 2.
Specifically, what I'm referencing is there was a comment from, I believe, the director.
Yes.
Yeah.
At some press conference or event about it, and someone asked about a season 2, and he said that the producers told him that if they sold enough figures, they'd get a season 2.
Yeah.
If we sell enough Princess Principal lampposts, you'll get a season 2.
If we sell enough temporary tattoos from Princess Principal, we can afford to
Hey,
anime.
make it permanent.
Oh my god.
I'll get Arja and Princess
God.
on my back.
Okay, this is like, I'm just looking at what the Reagan OVA is right now. Apparently, it's literally just scenes from Mob Psycho, but Reagan's face is edited onto Mob.
Oh my god.
Oh, I need to see
Yeah,
this.
in news that will be very old by the time you listen to this podcast, a new Mob Psycho 100 OVA just released, which is a recap of Season 1 narrated by Reagan. And that was heralding the announcement of a second season of Mob Psycho 100
I can't
to
wait
come
for
in the
this.
future.
Mm-hmm. We don't have anything else to say because there's no actual news, except that the staff is returning, unlike One Punch Man, so that's cool.
Everything you'd want out of Mob Psycho 100 news. So, shifting gears away from anime to trans talk stuff, I've got a little sort of anecdote about
It's
that.
story
So
time.
my estrogen, a little story time. My estrogen dose went up. I was on 4 milligrams of estrogen a day. Now I'm at 6, 200 milligrams of spironolactone. And so I was heading into the pharmacy to pick that up. And then when I got in there, I sort of remembered that I had forgotten to shave. And it had been a few days because I just like wrapped up a big work project, which I don't take breaks to shave during. So, I mean, my facial hair grows relatively slowly, but there were definitely visible hairs there. And I had this this sort of weird sensation, hesitation, realization, something along those lines, where I sort of thought of what the pharmacist would think seeing this person getting estrogen and Spiro with like an unshaven mustache, and it was sort of this feeling that I wasn't justifying myself enough. Like I wasn't like wait, I'm supposed to be like a girl, and like if I don't like care enough or bother enough to keep my face shaved, like how sincere am I as a girl? Like, am I justifying
You're
that
adorable,
well enough?
sweetie.
Yeah. And it's this just sort of unique dynamic, I guess, where you've got the sense that you've got to sort of justify your own identity by putting in some minimum level of work or achieving some minimum level of results in presenting that identity.
Mm-hmm.
Even though like I was boy mode, like I wasn't presenting as female, I sort of feel like my longer hair and what has on all previous trips there been a clean shaven face, like Haha, look at me. Yes, I am transitioning. I am being a girl.
Yeah,
this is what
that's
these
an odd
drugs are
dynamic
for.
to be in, I guess.
Just because I had forgotten to do that this time around, I wasn't
My experiences,
necessarily
I have
presenting that.
nothing really to go off on, so I can present as anything because
Yeah,
I know I'm just gonna be not seen as non-binary from
Yeah.
most people anyway, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, I don't have to worry about not presenting incorrectly.
You can't present as non-binary, which
Yeah,
sucks
it's a
because
really
it's
weird
representative of the fact that
catch-22
as a broader
situation.
society we don't even recognize non-binary identities really, but at the same time you're somewhat more absent a pressure to present as that because the option just isn't available to you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel Lachlan, you. Yeah, no, I mean, I think the same things happen when I've gone to pick up mine before, and yeah, I definitely feel this weird, it's not whether or not I pass is what I'm thinking about, right? Because that's not but yeah, there's definitely this feeling of this imposter syndrome, I guess you could call it. Where you're do I really count if I'm not putting in the effort, whatever the effort is? And it's funny because this is not something I judge anyone else by except myself.
Yeah. No, exactly.
It's not when I see other trans people, I'm ever oh, you're not putting in enough effort. That's not something I would ever think at any level. But for myself, my brain's oh, are you sure you're doing enough? And I'm so I feel.
Yeah.
It's probably also a big part of the reason why I sort of want to keep my longer hair, at least for now, because that's just an element of me I can have that signals femininity.
Yeah, same.
I can just no, look, I am doing the girl thing.
I
look
agree.
At me. when probably in the future, ideally, I just want a shorter, cuter OG some cut.
Who doesn't around on this cast?
Yes.
I love those mask female looks.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, that's true. But in the interim, there's a pressure to go more femme. In at least some tangible attributes, so that you can, I don't know, have a physical proof of the fact that you're the identity that you are.
Yeah. I don't know if that's really a way to solve it either, is the thing.
No.
It's just kind of I don't know if it's inherent, but I feel it's something a lot of people think
even
about.
If there was far less of a degree of societal judgment for it, there's still sort of the just interpersonal feeling of wanting to do more, to pass better, whatever that may be. And so that sensation of not doing enough, even if it isn't attached to sort of other people's expectations of you, it's something you sort of feel for yourself, I think.
Yeah, to some degree.
Almost as much of a conundrum as this new PV. One final one we save for the end here, for the Kase-san OVA.
Oh.
Speaking of gay feels.
You want me to lead this one?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, so I think we need to start by referring, okay, so there was recently a PV release for the OVA adaptation of the excellent Yuri manga, the Kase-san series, which, to give a brief summary, is about this girl named Yamada who basically tends to all the flowers and greenery of her school, and she notices a track student named Kase who is pretty boyish and really good, and she's
okay, she's extremely detrimental to the
I mean, I did as well when I
coherency
watched
of
that
any gay
PV.
in her vicinity, as
Yeah.
Yamada will demonstrate over the course of the series.
Yamada did not think about like romance at all before this, but then like so she's like she instantly falls in love with Kase, and you know,
Yeah.
and she they become friends, and then like they start going out, and then like the manga continues from there. It's an excellent manga. It's going to be covered in one of my upcoming videos. I will state my top 10 Yuri manga for beginners. Something along the title will be something along those lines. But anyway, the PV for it for the OVA just came out, and this PV follows a 2017 animation clip, which is kind of like a music video that adapts to the first volume. And this PV is extremely good. It looks like it's going to be adapting parts from like the second, third, and fourth volumes, and that's very big because the third volume is really what throughout the entire series, Yamada is hardcore a disaster lesbian, but that doesn't really put it into full perspective. Something the manga does excellently, which no one except me talks about, is
no one but me notices the true genius of this manga.
It's true, so
I know. That's why it's funny.
Anyways, as I was saying, is that it really has a great understanding of how these girls are like sexually attracted to one another. A lot of Yuri manga has sex, right? But most of it doesn't really. It's always like, oh, I want to be connected with them, and that's good. I certainly get that, but like, there's no like looking, like just like staring at them because they're attractive. And Kase-san really, really nails that. They really, really, really nails that these are teenagers who want to fuck, right? And
it sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
The lesbian gaze down.
You heard it here first.
I was having I had Lachlan read it right before I got it. And
you want to know that? Zaria turned me gay with Kase-san.
Well, that was like the final push. That was the final part of
final step in her conversion therapy.
Yeah. As I was saying, though, Kase-san's just amazing, and I'm extremely excited for the PV. Like, because as I said, it's going to cover a lot of great material. And like what I talked about was not the only thing Kase-san does well. It also something I think it does that's really interesting is it has them fail at communicating at times, but then like they like realize, oh, if we're gonna keep this going, we need to communicate better. We need to like talk to each other more. And really, it's just an absolutely excellent manga that really, how should I put it? It's perfect. And I'm very happy that the PV looks to be adapting a lot of the best material. In fact, it seems to be adapting so much of the best material that it can't be like a 24-minute OVA. Like, it's covering too much.
I'm hoping it's 50 minutes because the only experience I have is that PV, but it looks something really special just hearing about you talk about this as well.
Or what if it's just like
it's a 5-minute short,
like an OVA length, or a movie length. Like what if it's like an hour and a half? What if it's 4 episodes? They haven't even said if there's like episodes or not. We don't know.
OVA episode,
we know nothing. So like
certainly,
frankly speaking,
certainly the material or the breadth of material it's covering makes it seem like a sort of full TV anime adaptation would be less likely, just because it's adapting up through like the current volume almost, unless they would
how many volumes are there out there?
The 5th is coming out in May in Japan. All 4 are already out. The first 4 are already out in both America and Japan.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, I'm thinking there's probably not going to be a TV anime. TV anime that I expect, the next Yuri anime that I expect to get a TV anime, other than
Bloom Into You.
Yeah.
I think that one's very likely, but to the point that like I'd be surprised if the manga ends and there hasn't been an anime yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not expecting a TV anime for Kase-san. But if it's like a long OVA, then I'll be satisfied. Yeah.
I definitely want to check it out.
It was never going to be as popular as like Citrus is, anyways. So
Unfortunately,
let's not go into this. We'll be here all night.
My Citrus video comes out in a week and a half. Be sure to watch.
And we have one final topic here on the itinerary for today's activities. A little discussion of some interesting comments from a presentation by a producer for Yayarozu's studio, the studio that produced Kemono Friends.
And Tessagura, don't
talking
forget about important girls.
Yes, of course. The presentation talked about the issues with the anime industry, specifically the sort of anime production committee system, and then his suggestions for how conditions and the general situation might be able to be improved somewhat.
Yeah, as Senpai just said.
Oh no.
I think it's a very interesting article because everyone knows that the production committee system is really bad, and probably I don't think they're totally going to die. Things like publishers wanting to fund anime adaptations of like their manga or light novels or whatever, that's going to remain, but it's simply not sustainable to maintain the way production committees currently work, because they just aren't healthy. Like, everything about the industry is unhealthy, obviously, but the fact that studios rarely get any cut, considering how hard it is for them to like be able to get on the committee, means that they just, and given the like very, very low amounts of control they get, unless they're like Kyoani on the top of the committee or something, it's just not a good place to be in. And this new idea, I think it has flaws. It wouldn't work for everything.
Right.
Like I said, publishers are not going to sign the rights over for to the anime studio to like adapt as much or like in any way they want. But for more original based projects, I think it could be a really good way to give studios more freedom. And it's important to give studios more freedom because without studios getting more freedom, they can't start to build a base of like some amount of money which they can use to not pay their workers like shit.
Yeah, basically the production committee system turns a lot of anime studios into glorified contract workers for the publishers and the production committees. And because of that, most of their animation staff also are contract workers, which just means that their wages are low, their ability to negotiate outside of cases like Toei Animation where they've actually got an animators union, that power just isn't there. And the conditions, as most people are well aware of by now, are bad, real bad.
They're very bad,
Extremely bad.
His suggestion primarily consisted of a new partnership system where the anime studios would sort of maintain control of the IP and produce in conjunction with distributors like Netflix and Amazon. The issue with that at this stage would be that thus far, from all the reports we're hearing from animators in Japan discussing the issue, their wages on Netflix-produced shows are not actually higher than that very low industry standard. So unless there was like a concerted effort to rework how these things function, his plan here, his concept might not come to fruition.
Do we know if this producer worked on the Kimono Friends project? Because
yes, he was the producer.
Because of course we all know what happened with that.
Yes. Yeah, Kimono Friends and Yaoyarozu Studio generally did indeed get screwed over by the fact that they did not own or control Kimono Friends whatsoever and had it swept out from under them by the publisher Kadokawa when there were sort of disagreements over how things would proceed following that first season.
Yeah, so that definitely influenced.
It's an issue close to home.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
One of the interesting things, probably the most interesting thing about this presentation from him was one of the 7 reasons he laid out for the anime industry having issues right now. Number 6 is that the handling fee percentages at the time of foreign distribution are fixed from when proceeds were small. This does not correspond to the current state where foreign distribution makes up the majority of income. So basically what I think is being said there is that large amount of the money anime is making is coming from foreign distribution, and yet the amount of money being paid in order to distribute this anime to these foreign countries, it's not as much money as really should be going back to Japan proportionally to what it's making. I'm not sure what foreign distribution entails. Is this like physical disc distributors that are sort of underpaying their fair share? Is this streaming licensors like Crunchyroll? I don't know, but that's a very interesting comment, and I'm sure for some people in particular it will serve as very potent fuel.
I think it's made even more interesting because Crunchyroll was on the production committee for Kimono Friends, so it's definitely worth seeing how this moves forward, seeing how Yaoyorozu's upcoming anime get made, because Tatsuki has a project he's working on, like a TV anime project. So Tatsuki being the director of Kimono Friends, so that's going to be really interesting, I think, to see what results.
Because as I understand it, Crunchyroll, they pay the licensing fee for a show, and then also there are royalties based on viewership.
They say that. So assuming they're not lying, that is true, correct.
So it could be either that sort of the amount up front that they're paying is not sort of the value of what they're ending up getting, or that like percentage of royalties based upon viewership is so low that it's not sort of making up what these series are earning them.
Yeah, and I wonder how that differs between shows they simply license and shows that they actually help produce.
Yeah,
see, that's the problem.
It would be
these discussions that there's so much like speculation and only like
inside financial info that we're not privy to.
They're not going to tell us.
Yeah, there's loads of ways.
Because Crunchyroll has started serving on the production committees of a bunch of shows. I mean, both Netflix and Crunchyroll can now like. We're producing like 50 anime, which is somewhat impressive.
I don't think Netflix has actually been on the production committee for any of the anime. So
no, I don't believe so.
Yeah, but like, what exactly like producing a show entails can vary from case to case. So for Crunchyroll, a lot of it is like they're the smallest member of the production committee, and they're like just instead of paying the licensing fee, they're paying that same amount to be on the production committee. It's just like a different way of doing things that's like a bit more convenient and closer to the source and stuff.
That was more true in 2017 than 2018.
Yeah,
this year, the committees they're on...
This year, though.
They're on a lot higher committees. For instance, A Place Further Than the Universe, they're number 3. Yudu Camp, they're number 2. Citrus, they're number 3. Like, they're quite high up.
I guess 2 out of 3 is good.
How to Keep a Mummy, they're number 2. Yeah. Miss Koizumi Loves Ramen Noodles, number 2. So they're really, like, not low-ranking members here.
Basically, if it's not, like, a big, like, shonen series that would do well, and they're, like, promoting it because, you know, they know that will get viewers, if they're promoting a show heavily, it's probably because they're high on the production committee, because all those shows are, like, the ones that they've been promoting this season.
Yeah, I didn't know they were so high up in these committees for these shows.
Yeah, it's pretty, so I assume they have actual control. I know on MMO Junkie, they, like, flexed their ability to actually like choose the name because they were going to try and like make them use a name that doesn't actually make sense in English, and then they
sometimes the Japanese side of things will sort of hand down from on high whether it's like a given translation they want used for lines in the show, or whatever they want the title itself to be. So if they're providing enough of the funding, a given distributor can kind of flex their muscles a bit more and fight back against those.
Yeah, it's definitely worth looking at how this stuff progresses as time goes on.
And with that, I think we have wrapped today's agenda. Nothing left here to do, but pack our bags and head home for the day.
Well, no, we have to ask, what is trans culture this week?
Oh my god, I forgot about the legacy segment. Thank you.
The legacy segment of 2 episodes.
Okay, trans culture this week is using stupid anime pet names for each other.
Oh my god, this is the second time in a row you took what I was gonna say.
I swear to god, this is gonna be every week.
But it's canon. It's canon. I'm actually Zaria's YouTube senpai, and we're playing into the whole classroom vibe. So.
Yeah, Transculture this week is calling Lachlan senpai and getting her flustered.
Jackie, what do you got for us? What is Transculture this week?
This week is being a part of a bunch of YouTube projects, which means you're in a high school roleplay.
Yeah, that's the actual one.
Did Jackie win again? Were you the one who won last week? I think I'm casting my vote on Jackie's.
The thing is, we're not going to be allowed to win as long as we just keep...
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Jackie. The Transculture is champion now 2 weeks
2-0.
Thank you for tuning in today, everyone. I believe we will be shooting for Saturday releases. Regularly, things got pushed back a day just because we were like setting up YouTube accounts and iTunes accounts and stuff. So bit hectic last week, but it should be normalized. We should be getting the YouTube and the iTunes and all those releases up around the same time. That time being on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And look forward to it, please.
Please.
Thanks for listening. I need this. Thank you for tuning in once again for another episode of this nonsense. I have been Lachlan Still, the Pedantic Romantic, joined by Zaria. Bye-bye. And Jackie.
2-0 champion, baby!
See you next week.
Bye-bye. Woo!